Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're stepping straight into a grim, dark, gothic fable, and I'm going to serve as your witness to the wanderer's agonizing path through a brooding, Goethean Nietzschean reality. It's a story of profound philosophical transformation, one that really forces us to look deeply at that internal struggle between academic reason and primal instinct. So my goal today is to guide you through this massive architectural shift, moving from rigid, lifeless text to a boundless cosmic space. We're going to trace a path directly from shadow to light, from absolute restriction to infinite release.
Now, to truly understand this philosophical landscape, we've got to abandon our warm, lazy certitudes right out of the gate. We have to look at these two movements, the dark initiation and the cosmic sublimation, not as disconnected, random trials, but as the dual poles of a single psychological axis. The architecture of this journey demands that we read these parables as one continuous, unbroken text. That dark, contracted negation we're going to encounter, it is absolutely foundational. It's literally the mandatory structural base required for the elevated affirmation that comes later. You simply cannot have those soaring heights without surviving the suffocating depths first.
Okay, part 1. The architecture of two horizons and a symmetrical arc.
So the two extreme horizons of our wanderer's journey are just perfectly juxtaposed here. We start in the Hermitage, which is characterized by claustrophobic friction, static vocabulary, and defensive isolation. It's a suffocating, totally closed-off reality. It's this place of deep shadow and agonizing restriction. But then, across the chasm, lies the high step, defined by boundless expansion, cosmic harmony, and fluid joy. And the crucial takeaway here is that the wanderer's journey is not some chaotic stumble in the dark. Not at all. It's a deliberate, symmetrical arc moving directly from extreme contraction to this infinite, sweeping expansion.
Moving into part 2, friction in the Hermitage and the sterile scholar.
Here in the Hermitage, our wanderer exists as this totally sterile academic, completely caught up in what we can call the scholar's trap. He's desperately trying to anchor the vast, terrifying nature of reality, using dead syntax on pieces of parchment. He relies entirely on static vocabulary to define a world that is inherently always in motion, and by hiding behind these words, he harbors these warm, lazy certitudes about life, completely insulated from the truth. In this state, he's entirely incapable of the existential self-overcoming required for true health. He's just defensively isolated, rotting away in a self-made prison of academic reason, absolutely terrified of the chaotic lived experience that's waiting right outside his door.
Which brings us to part 3, the poodle as dark catalyst and the domestic beast.
Okay, so the poodle. It's not just a dog. It's actually a functional necessity, and ironically, the ultimate catalyst for both philological and existential health. It's kind of wild to think about, right? The dark, contracted negation of the universe arrives disguised as a pampered, curly-haired pet. But Mephistopheles, the cynical demon hiding inside this domestic beast, provides the exact, precise resistance needed to shatter the scholar's fragile ego. Without this dark catalyst forcing its way into the Hermitage, there can be absolutely no structural foundation for the elevated affirmation the wanderer desperately needs.
The sheer cynicism of the demon basically forces a brutal, unavoidable confrontation with lived experience. The poodle begins to swell and change, proving a pretty terrifying truth. Life cannot be anchored or neatly categorized by dead syntax. It totally defies the parchment. The demon provides the crucial friction that tempts the wanderer out of his isolation and out into the dangerous, volatile field of actual existence. It proves that without the agonizing friction of his adversarial spirit, the wanderer would just rot in bitter defensive isolation forever. The darkness, in this case, is literally the cure.
Let's look at part 4. Transmutation and word into volatile deed.
If we trace this evolution across time, we witness a really profound architectural shift. First, in that suffocating Hermitage, he relies on the passive word, that dead syntax we just discussed. But prompted by the demon, he finally ditches it. He steps out into the mountain mist and fully embraces the volatile deed, and this is aggressive, masculine action. It's a necessary breaking out of the shell, but the journey doesn't end there. Ultimately, as we'll see, he reaches the third stage, the transitory symbol, or gleisness, which is this beautiful, poetic metaphor that transcends both the passive writing and the aggressive action.
Right in the middle of that timeline, during the phase of the deed, something monumental happens. He smashes his rational safety nets and just accepts that true life requires constant, agonizing friction. He accepts the mist, the danger, and the negation brought by the demon. He finally gets that to be alive isn't about being safe, warm, and certain. It's about engaging in a perpetual, challenging struggle with the forces of existence. He trades the comfort of the scholar for the beautiful, terrifying friction of the living world.
And that leads us to part 5, Harmony of the High Step and the Mystic Chorus. So, we've arrived at the second horizon. Up here on the high step, through the chorus mysticus, everything changes yet again. Those harsh, literal trials initiated by the poodle back in the Hermitage, they're unmasked as mere glycness, transitory symbols and poetic metaphors. The aggressive masculine drive to conquer that defined his phase of the deed is suddenly met by the eternal feminine. He encounters the creative gravity of eternal recurrence. He realizes his journey isn't ending in some ditch of bitter isolation, nor is it collapsing into comfortable nihilism. Instead, the agonizing friction of the devil actually resolves into a sweeping, grand cosmic song.
And this is where we find the ultimate beautiful synthesis of those two horizons. The Wanderer has completely shed the defensive armor of the ego, that static, isolated, aggressive striving. In its place, a fluid, cosmic dance. The dead writing on the parchment is entirely abandoned, and that agonizing path, which was paved with the necessary friction of the demonic beast, is perfected into joyous, eternal recurrence. He's achieved cosmic harmony, basically moving in tandem with the universe itself. The claustrophobic prison of the Hermitage has fully, completely given way to the boundless expansion of the steppe.
As your witness to this grim Gothic fable today, I want to leave you with one final, pretty provocative thought. What dead syntax are you hiding behind to avoid the friction of lived experience? Where is your hermitage, and what warm, lazy certitudes are keeping you from that boundless high step? I really want you to ponder that long after this explainer ends. Embrace the friction, step into the mist, and I'll see you next time.